for coming. Can you hear me okay with us? Accused of a loud voice. My name is Wayne Harding. I'm Chief Financial Officer for Two Rivers Water and Farming Company, which is a public company since 2006. We're fully reporting. We're in the irrigated farming and water business in southeast Colorado. We recently formed a subdivision that we're a majority owner of, GrowCo Inc., which is part of our set of companies. And because we're publicly traded, I need to say that we're going to be giving you some forward-looking statements, some projections, and we're going to rely on the Safe Harbor Act that the SEC affords us. So I'm going to quickly turn this over to Aaron Van Wingerden, who is our senior consultant, and also on stage with me is Tim Bell, who's the Chief Operating Officer for GrowCo. But people sometimes ask me, before we get Aaron up here, some people sometimes ask me, well, why is Two Rivers in the development of greenhouse space to be leased out to cannabis growers and also provide auxiliary services to our tenants? And it's because, and you know this, you've probably gone to some of the sessions, this market is huge. And just Colorado by itself, last year was $700 million market. This year is planned to be $1 billion market. It's growing rapidly at 30 to 50% per year. As more and more states come on, we believe that we can expand our services outside of Colorado after we do our initial 4 greenhouses within Colorado. And also just got done speaking for some overseas folks about also expanding internationally. GrowCo will be the #1 provider and ultra-modern greenhouses for the cannabis grower space worldwide. So to tell you the differentiations between greenhouse and warehouse and go into our greenhouse business model, I'm going to have Aaron join me on stage. Aaron.
Thank you, Wayne. As Wayne mentioned, my name is Aaron Van Wingerden. I am a 3rd-generation greenhouse grower operator. My family has been growing flowers, bedding plants, perennials, annuals for the last 40 years in the United States. Combined total growing space. It's okay. Combined total growing space of over 40 million square feet. We sell to Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Kroger, just to name a few. I presently own a 700,000 square foot greenhouse that sells bedding plants to Kroger in the state of Colorado. We're entering our 10th year of business, and me and my collective team have over 20 years in the greenhouse operation business experience, with over 7 million square feet of greenhouse that we have grown or operated over the last few years. How I got into cannabis a few years ago, I started doing it as a brokerage through my current flower company to these indoor guys because they were getting hand over fist beat up with pricing. So I would buy in the same material if they were a 1/10 of the cost and resell it to them. That's how it initially got started with my role in the cannabis industry, and then it kind of morphed into as a consultant for a lot of grows. I've been inside over 50 grows, big and small, throughout Colorado. And we started a grower consulting group at my greenhouse. We would bring them out, show them different ways of growing, things to look at, new ways to do pesticides, fertilizing, etc. And I just want to speak quickly on the woes of warehouse growing. Obviously, it has been what it is for the last 30 years because of it being a taboo. The don't ask, don't tell policy, if you will. You had to grow inside because it had to be hidden, or specific zoning laws, like in Colorado, you can only build and grow marijuana in an industrial zoning for the last few years. That changed last year when they allowed it in an agricultural zoning development. So that's why we can put up greenhouses in Puebla. It's an antiquated way of growing now that laws in society have changed their ways about looking at marijuana. So, you know, the transition from warehouse to greenhouse is an easy one. Number one, because of the lights that you have to have inside a warehouse, can't replicate the sun, no matter how hard you try. Plants absorb more total light from the sun than they will from lights. Lights give light that comes direct. Sun is 360 degrees, if you will. Plants can absorb it throughout the whole realm of growing. Energy costs to run these lights. It's huge. These guys have major electric bills to try and replicate the sun, but we don't have that problem. Heating issues caused from running these lights during the summer months is major. Humidity, which causes all kinds of mold and pest issues. I mean, all the water that you put into these plants have nowhere to go inside of a warehouse. And a confined space, the flow and the labor efficiency problems in a warehouse are paramount everywhere. Also, when you grow in a warehouse, you can only grow the plants so big, or you can only grow so many plants. So you reduce either your plant count or the size of your plants, basically reducing the way the plant should be grown. Over the last 20 years, the strains coming out of Holland, in my opinion, have been bred to be weaker so they can conform to this indoor environment. And last but not least, a lot of consumers of this product are eco-environmentally friendly. It's not a very eco-environment friendly type of production we're doing inside warehouses. You get a huge carbon footprint which these plants they grow inside a warehouse. So the greenhouse advantages, there's many of them. Obviously sun, we already talked about that. But our greenhouse you see here built in the picture is built with a double poly plastic roof. The reason we do that instead of glass is that poly allows the sun to be diffused. And what I mean by that is under a glass roof you have direct light that hits the plant. Plants' receptacles can only take up so much micromoles of sun under direct light before they turn off their growing receptacles and they just sit there. Under diffused light they can absorb 100% of the light micromoles that come through there because you're not slamming it with all that energy from the sun. The analogy I like to use is if you have a foliage plant on your kitchen countertop and you throw a cup of water on that foliage plant right away, 30% of it will spill off onto your counter. If you take that same cup of water and put it into a spray bottle and mist that water onto that plant over 10 minutes, the plant absorbs everything. We're doing the same thing. We're misting light. We also have open roof design combined with bottom heat as well as cooling pad and exhaust fans. So think of like a really big giant swamp cooler. We're pulling cold air through the greenhouse on the hottest days. We're opening up the vent. The roof peaks naturally open to allow that humidity to escape. And we're running our bottom heat to eliminate humidity caused by the cooling pads. We have environmental controls at the greenhouse that allow us to manipulate temperatures within 1 to 2 degrees. And we can lift the temperature on the coldest winter days by 75 degrees and cool it on the hottest summer days by 35 degrees with this technology. We also have auto irrigation systems throughout the greenhouse that we're building that delivers exact water to each plant as the other's getting. That eliminates human error. One guy's watering pot to pot to pot, can water one plant for 3 seconds, another one for 5 seconds, and you get variable growth. The design of these greenhouses is not just designed to grow plants, but also labor efficiency. You're not working in a claustrophobic warehouse. You've got some elbow room. Labor costs are huge in this industry, and for us, we think we can run a 2-acre facility and generate 10,000 pounds of dry bud per year utilizing only 30 employees. At the current market rate of $1,000 per pound wholesale, that's anticipated price, that's over $300,000 of sales revenue per employee. So you can see we're much more efficient in the way that we do things than in a warehouse. The flower industry the last 40, 50 years has made great strides in growing and designing of these greenhouses that I've been a personal part of. And by taking this technology and implementing it into the marijuana world, it's just a natural movement, and we can use all the information that we've gleaned over these past few decades to really revolutionize the way that this is grown. There's no reason to spend $600–700 a pound to grow this plant. So that's my spiel in summary. We have a lot of time left over. There's not a whole ton of people here, but we can open it up to question and answer. Anybody that wants to ask any growing or product questions specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, is this these greenhouse structures, can they only be built specific to like the Southwest because it has about 300 days sun a year? Or
No.
Can you modify it for like heat conditions?
The question was, can these greenhouses be built anywhere? And the answer to that is yes. You start with a base model, and one of my uncles has been designing and building greenhouse structures for 35 years. So you start with a base model, you decide what kind of humidity you're looking for, what kind of light you're looking for, and you can design the greenhouse structure based around your climate. So for instance, if we're building in Washington State, where they get really cloudy days, we would implement light technology, not nearly to the level that you would inside a warehouse, but just enough so that plant continues to grow. And you also would grow specific strains. There's 400 different varieties of marijuana out there. Some strains like highlight, some strains don't. You know, it's just like in the flower world, petunias want a really sunny environment, begonias want shade or impatience. So you would specify your strains based on the environment that you're in, growing in these facilities.
Would adding that light change the strain variability?
No, would adding the light change the strain variability? No. Variability on plant growth does happen in the growing environment, but strains are strains. You can make it turn purple by making the temperature real cold, or turn white by turning off the fertilizer. But so long as you're growing within a criteria that the plant wants, you can grow almost any strain anywhere if you want to really take the time to do it. You know, we're going to pick our top 20 home runs for Colorado and stick to those. I have, you know, my personal opinion is that this market's going to go to the Coors Light, Miller Lite world of one group, and that's the greenhouse group, and then the indoor guys that invested all this money don't want to get out of that space. Well, they can grow all the finicky varieties and become the microgrew of the industry. So that's my vision of it and where it's going to go in the next 5 years. Yes, in the back.